Welcome back to the ABC of EDC with me, Rick Flat, your host through everything, everyday carry. Excuse the tight, strange, crouchy shot. My studio is absolutely in chaos right now. Just chaos. So I can't show you any more than this exact frame. Otherwise, you'll judge me. Got a couple of watches in. We'll be doing a little series on High Street Heroes. And these watches today don't entirely fit in that bracket, but just kind of. We have got a couple of watches in from a company called Invicta, a well-known brand, been around since like 1857 or something. It started in Switzerland, but of lately moved to Miami. Things have gone a little bit dicey. Apparently, they are invincible in detail. And if you know anything about Invicta, you know that's quite a claim. So we're going to kind of work through that and see whether these kind of 125 pound watches actually do that and fit in that kind of bracket of like, I need to buy someone a gift, I'll buy them a watch. Maybe this would fit it. Got a black face diver in and kind of a green bezel diver in. We are going to see what they are like. So let's flip reverse around and undo the extensive packaging on these things. God, there's a lot of packaging on these. And see what they're like. So here we have them. The two Invicta boxes. Now, a word about these boxes. I do like them. In this kind of price range, most people don't bother with a box, but I like the fact they've gone for a nice bright colour, a little bit of a wink and a nod to the old Flolex box there on the top, but they're not high quality. They really aren't. But I like them. Open it up. First one, little black dial here. We'll just, on a nice little yellow pocket, we'll just move that aside. Look at the box a bit more. Little insert in the back there with the sort of guarantee. I think there's a 2-year guarantee with Invicta, which ain't too bad, I suppose. Anyway, let's get to unpackaging the watch itself. Now, I have had many watches on this channel. Watches from like, 30 quid all the way up to like 13 grand. Watches that go for crazy money on the secondary market and blah, blah, blah. Limited edition, all kinds of materials. But without a doubt, these Invictas were the most protected of any watches I've ever had on the channel. It took an age. I had to get a knife. I had to take a break and have a cup of tea and get a massage just to be able to keep working my fingers. It was crazy. Just plastic on everything. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. They think these watches are worth £1,000 because the way they protected them, the way they kid gloved them was insane. Anyway, looks like I'm almost finished. We can get out time-lapse Rick and back to in studio Rick. So here we have the watches after several hours of unwrapping what has to be the most well-wrapped watches I've ever encountered. Here we are. We have the two models here from Invicta. Now, heads up, as I said in the introduction, we're going to be judging these watches, not normally how we would judge other watches, but by their slogan, invincible in detail. Let's see if these £125 watches are indeed invincible in their details. Now we have two examples of the same Pro Diver watch, although I'm saying that I thought they were exactly the same, but as I've opened them, I've noticed that the Black Diver definitely has some narrower lugs, more akin to a more modern homage of a watch, and the green has more chunkier lugs, more akin to maybe a later model that you might be homaging of a watch. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I can't say the word Folex. You understand what we're doing here. But let's just go through it as best we can. Both these watches are 40mm in diameter, 14.2mm thick. They both have crowns of around 6.9mm. Lugs are 20mm. Lug to lug, about 48mm. 200 meters water resistance, or 200 meters proposed water resistance. You'd have to look at some other YouTubers and people to see whether they are actually that water resistant. They do have screw down crowns, some sense of maybe a gasket or something in there, but I'm not the guy to test that. But let's look at these watches. Let's see if they are indeed invincible in detail. Let's start with the black watch, as I feel this is more the sort of diver that you're going to buy, just a standard black on black situation. As ever, we'll cut in some B-roll, make these things look a little bit juicier than they are. I've not actually turned a bezel on either of these watches yet, so let's just do that. Do you know, a little bit of back play, but not too bad. Got a nice sort of clicky sound, a nice sort of clicky feel. Let's see how this lines up. Give me a second. Yeah, lining up pretty good, man. I mean, that's something that Seiko sometimes struggles with, so that's not bad. Let's try it on the old greenie. Oh, Greeny has got an even firmer. It may be even on bordering on difficult to spin bezel, but again, quite reassuring. I quite like the feeling of that bezel, man. I've had more expensive watches actually that the bezel doesn't feel as clicky and crunchy as that. So I would say when it comes to detail on the bezel, is this Invicta or these Invicta, are they invincible in detail? I don't know about that, but they're pretty good. So this black one, let's go back to it. What have we got here, man? We've got a standard, we've got a Cyclops there. Not a big fan of Cyclops. If there is going to be a Cyclops, it has to be a decent one. And this one, I think it demagnifies. So it's a little bit awkward. We have got pips at most of the hours other than that Cyclops window. We've got a bar at 6, bar at 9, triangle at 12. We've got the Invicta logo there, that little wing, and then some text at the bottom, a la every other diver you've ever seen. We've got sort of, I guess, Mercedes hands there, and then we've got that second hand that has the little Invicta wings with a cross in the middle, again, as a sort of counterbalance at the end there. Dial is actually pretty appealing. Sort of a maybe not matte black, but not super shiny. There's no sunburst or anything going on here. This is not a ceramic bezel. This is just basically a steel bezel or whatever. It's good enough, man. The sort of the edge feels nice and grippy, particularly on this one. Now, so I would say, as far as the dial goes, yeah, not bad, not bad. You get under a loop. It's, you know, it's nothing to write home about. But like I've seen better, I've seen worse. First point of problem with this though is on the side of the case here, because for some reason on many Invicta watches they feel that it's not enough that you've bought an Invicta and you've had to get the big yellow box and all that. No, they're going to make sure everyone else knows by engraving. And I'm telling you, it's thick in there. You can really feel the grooves by putting Invicta in the side of the case there. First point, not good. Invincible in detail with this bit? Nah, bruv. You can keep it. Again, a signed crown, which actually, again, is a nice little effort. Why not? Why not have a signed crown? I like that. How's the bracelet doing here? Well, we've got this kind of shiny middle, brushed at the edges, and a nice clasp actually. And again, Invicta, they love a logo, man. They love to put their branding on it. So they've got the little safety clasp there, and then you've got the Invicta logo and name. Could have just gone logo, I guess, there. Again, it's brushed. You open it up though, we got a pressed situation, man. Could have gone milled, we went pressed. End links, as you can see there, hopefully, they are not solid end links. Now, one of the first things that I noticed when I opened these watches, and one of the things I was really excited about, because I like yellow. You can see the channel colours, man. All the text that comes up is yellow. See? Just yellow all the time. In all the photos of your Invicta, when you turn it over and you've got that display case back to look at that sort of nondescript movement that I guess is automatic, but who knows. Normally there's a yellow rotor, but these two watches, both of them, no yellow rotor. And I'd put it to you that one of the cool selling points of the Invicta, for me, was that yellow rotor with a little bit of a signature on it. I was really looking forward to that little pop. And here, for some reason, they've done away with it. I've got to imagine for costs, because why else would you do it? They got rid of that. Bit of a downer. So they're invincible in detail? Nah, man. I wanted my yellow rotor. I haven't got it. So let's put this one down for a second. Let's look at the old green meanie. Now, I was expecting a better green than this. This is a very metallic green. I like a more muted green, and I guess that's harder to do. This is maybe easier to do, cheaper to do. They've got the matching second hand, which is also green. Dial layout is exactly the same as the Blackie, other than the dates around on the green one has got a white dates around, which makes it maybe pop a little bit more than I'd like it. Rather than on the black one, it's just standard, just black on black on black. You know what I'm saying? Again, dial, same situation, some dollops, some triangles, some buttons, a second hand with the wings at the end, a little bit of text up top, a little text down bottom. Not bad. This one has got a Jubilee bracelet. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with Jubilee bracelets. I love the look of them. When I see other people, I see some with the Jubilee bracelet on, I'm like, oh, you're really lucky, man. I like it. It looks so cash. But when I wear them, and maybe just because I've only ever really had them on cheap watches, they just don't feel good. I have to get a really good watch, and I have to get a Rolly in or something decent with a good Jubilee bracelet to kind of judge this. But this one, man, it's just, oh no, it's just it's kind of, put it near the microphone. It's just kind of janky, man. It's kind of janky. We're sticking to the same situation. We've got the polished up the middle, brushed at the side. Again, we've got a safety kind of clasp, and then again we've got that pressed instead of milled. Again, we've got the not solid end link, so extra rattle. Again, we've got a rotor that ain't yellow. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's try both of these watches on. Again, I've got a 7.5 inch, that's that 19 centimeter wrist, and these watches fit pretty good when you look down. Pretty good. Let me just move my wrist there. Look pretty good when you look down. Actually, very reminiscent of an Orient Mako that I had in, which I did a review of. I'll throw it up somewhere up here. You can get it. Very nice. It is a little high on the wrist. It's a little high on the wrist because of that 14.2 thickness. Just a little, feels a little bit higher than I'd want it to be. If it's a little bit flatter, I'd enjoy it. But overall, it's not bad on the wrist. It's not bad at all. Let's put the old greenie on again, which has got a bit more of the classic cushion case kind of homage. Let's try this bad boy on, see what happens. Bada boom, bada bing. There's not, one other thing. We'll talk about that in a minute, the taper. Again, fits quite well on the wrist. Somehow, because the case is a little bit squatter, the lugs come out a bit squarer from the dial. Even though it's the same thickness, this fits on the wrist, or feels to fit on the wrist a little bit better. One thing I would say is there is no taper. There's no taper on this bracelet. You see where on this watch, we've got a little bit of a taper that goes down. So actually, by the time we get to the clasp with this one, we're at 17.8. So we've gone from 20 to 17.8. On this one, we're coming out at 20. Chada boom. Oh gosh, we're coming out actually. I've mismeasured. It's 22. The greenie has 22 lugs. And by the time we get down to the clasp, we're actually at 19.5. So there is actually some taper on this bracelet, but just not enough. Just not enough. So there actually is quite a lot. Although I thought I was buying identical watches here, this is on me. There's a little bit of difference here. I'd like to know what this would be like, what this watch would be like if this bracelet was on a 20 down to an 18, or it was on the same sort of oyster style there, as opposed to this on a faux jubilee situation. So, invincible in detail. How are we doing Invicta? Well, I think for £125, it's not bad. It's not bad. I think if Seiko was still in a good kind of price range, they'd have more of a problem. But I think if you can get past the name Invicta and some of the stigma attached to it, and if you don't mind a lot of branding on the clasp and on the crown and on the case itself and twice on the dial and on the second hand, if you can get past all that and you want a kind of fairly good 200-meter diver, these aren't bad. Yeah, it's no ceramic. Yeah, that's just mineral crystal. There's no sapphire here. Yeah, it's a press class. I understand all that. But a lot of brands are asking this sort of money for this sort of quality nowadays. So this isn't terrible. Is it invincible in detail? Not at all. Miss me with that. Miss me with that rubbish, man. It's not invincible in detail. It's sort of like marginally okay in detail, but I guess you can't write Invicta marginally okay on the box. But yeah, do you know, there are worse things that can happen to you spending 125 quid on a watch, but there are some better things that can happen to you. I think maybe Invicta should invest in making their heads of their watches just a little bit less gaudy, get rid of that Invicta stamped there, and then maybe just put them out on some nice rubber, put them out on some NATOs and stuff, and then you might be able to, with your kind of pedigree, because, you know, Invicta has actually been around since 1857. 1857 this was formed, and it was formed in Switzerland. Yeah, they're now in Miami, and a little bit of that Miami kind of like chintz has come onto it or whatever, and I guess it's Miami via China or Indonesia or somewhere, let's be honest. But yeah, I think Invicta could do some work. There was a while ago when there was a particular watch that Invicta brought out, which was a kind of a homage to an old Rolex, and it went mad. It was £100 and something quid watch. You couldn't get it for love nor money for like 12 months. So they have had pops at different times. And I think with their provenance from way back, and obviously they manufacture a lot of watches. I mean, a lot of terrible watches, but some good ones. If they really put some effort in, I think they could actually make some moves into that area where Seiko used to rule, that around £100 entry level auto, which now Seiko's left, and you've got to spend 200 quid to get there now. So yeah, invincible in detail, nah. Average in detail, almost. This has been my review of the Invicta professional diver watches. Anyway, until next time, carry what you love. Later.